good. Okay. Hey, I'm the one that now has to edit these particular episodes and whatnot, so I'm trying to make it easy for me.
Well, that sucks.
And that's fair.
Yeah. Fair sucks. Okay. There we go. So, and I figure we might as well go and get into it. So, welcome to episode 170-something of the Crack Brain Podcast.
70-something. We're not even keeping track anymore.
Hi, this is an episode. We're going to call it there.
Like, legitimately, we missed last week, and that was enough to throw me off completely. So, I'm pretty sure that this is 173, but I've messed up numerous times, and there are a few people that have actually been keeping track of every single episode. So every time I go, like, we're at 173, I'll get an email later, like, technically, you guys are at 175. And it's like,
Son of a
stop
bitch.
that. So, yeah. I'm saying this is episode 173. And I'm your host, Stefan. Joining me today, we have...
And Tyler.
Hi, I'm Ethan. Ethan Hunt.
It's a delayed reaction.
It's like when you hit the knee spot and I'm just like 5 minutes later, shit, what happened?
No joke. Like, legitimately, I was looking you directly in the eyes, going like, okay, go.
I have to fuck with you every single episode.
And it gives me like a mild heart attack too, because there are times when I'm like, I don't know if you're doing it to be an ass or whether it's real.
It's the ass part.
Yeah,
you could always assume that.
That's what I
A
hope.
little from column A, a little from column B.
There we go. Dealer's choice. Yay. So. Yeah, so as I said before, yes, we missed last week. That was largely due to my family having like a cataclysmic bunch of sickness and whatnot, where we didn't get the sickness. All right.
Get up, come on, get down with the sickness.
Legitimately, there was a few people. There were a few people that sent me all a bunch of like disturbed such are like, okay, just feel better. And I'm like, you guys are only like, I like Disturbed, so I'm happy that you guys send this to me. But
Stefan's just over here like drowning deep in a sea of lonely.
Excuse me, I am 10,000 fists in the air. So yeah, I really like Disturbed.
Same.
I'm one of the few black people from Southern California that you would hear like inside their bright yellow truck going down PCH with Disturbed, a little bit of Stained, but then at the same time a lot of Megadeth and a lot of Pantera and a lot of Metallica. So yeah,
That's fair.
it was not normal.
Me and my roommate would literally just roll down main strip of Magna blasting Slipknot and Disturbed and a whole bunch of just that genre of music. People there love it. You'll just hear them like down the road, they're just singing along with us like, yeah!
See, I need to live there because if I were to
You
do that
don't want
here,
to live in Magna.
I get that. You're not wrong. I really shouldn't live in Magna, but if I were to do that same
No
thing
one
here,
should live in Magna.
look, people over here would be like, oh, the dog one goes and the devil music is with him.
Clutching their pearls.
Quick, go and hide the jewels.
First the virus and now they're among us, the demons.
Oh, sorry. Today it would be hide the toilet paper.
Hide the toilet paper. Oh, precious white TP.
Put out the one ply as a distraction.
Go get that awful mess that's in every single school. The one that really scores the bottom.
You know, people are like getting the good stuff and repackaging it, but they're separating the plies.
Give that for the poor people.
They're like, we can use less if we use triple ply. Just refold it together.
You kidding me? All right, it's like you look. There are certain pockets of Utah that might think that way. I live in Utah County. All right, people are out over here getting quilts and going like, "Get the pristine butt wipes."
I saw the greatest picture my friend sent me. He's like, he works over at a Smith's, and he's like, this whole toilet paper thing is bullshit. We have plenty. It's just all the shit brands because nobody wants those.
See, and it's me and every other ghetto-born person that were like, "They got the good uns." We know what to do with this.
I just stocked up a month ago, so I don't have to worry about all that.
Okay, but I used to work at Smith's. I worked in the produce, and there was one time when this guy just walked up to one of my coworkers with like one of the big things of Charmin. It was like the 12 packs. Personally, I like Charmin. That's my brand.
Yep.
You know, and he just kind of like slams it down in front of my coworker, and he's like, "You expect me to wipe with this?" And then just marched off. And me and my coworker just look up at each other like, "Did that just happen?"
See, I'm glad that you guys have the ability to kind of like sit there and go like, what's going on here? Because if my nonsensical ass was there, I would have opened up the bag, went like, "I don't see what the problem is, sir." You've offended me. I've offended a lot of people.
Man, that is a 2-pack 1900 thread count quilt brand right there. That is pristine softness. You could not get a better wipe.
You know the rashes this is preventing? They infused this with aloe.
I can wipe as much as I want and still don't bleed.
Oh, okay, but seriously, like, Kleenex has their, like, infused with lotion.
Yeah.
Why isn't there TP that's infused with lotion?
There is. It's ghetto-fied. It's literally people that go, they get a little bit of... Look, this is real facts.
It's
all
called
right?
baby wipes, by the way. It's literally called baby wipes.
You haven't been to the ghetto. No, I'm telling you real stuff. It's you just get a little bit of like cocoa butter. You do this. You go. You put the actual TP in your hands. You do this with it, and then you now have lotionified TP. All right. If you think I'm lying, go and talk to some low-income ghetto people, all right? To the projects, as they're called.
Man, I've been poor, but I've never been that poor.
You just haven't been poor and creative, all right?
I've been poor and creative. That's some new level of poor and creative. I'm gonna put lotion on my toilet paper. No, it's this new thing called maybe take a shower every once in a while and your ass won't be fucking grainy.
We do. We dry out, all right, son? You ever heard the words ashy?
I mean, that's fair, but I live in a state where it's not dry as fuck.
It was a thing. It was a thing, all right? Some of us grew up raw, literally.
Now I can imagine is like a couple of people on their last few wipes are like, "Give me the Kleenex."
I'm going out happy.
Look, you don't know bliss until you've been camping and had to use a pine cone, okay?
No, you don't know bliss till you've used poison ivy by accident. I had a friend who did that. We were out camping and I was like, "Dude, just grab a leaf and wipe." He's like, "Oh, okay, I'll do that." Walks out, comes back, and he's like, "Dude, my ass is so itchy." I'm like, "Was it leaves of 3? Did you not leave it be?" Comes back, he's like, "Dude, just drop your pants for a second." Rash all over his back end for at least a week. At least a week. He probably was lotioning up his toilet paper so it wouldn't be that itchy.
I'm really glad that you just said that leaves of 3 thing, because legitimately for the last 32 years of my life, I have not been able to properly identify poison ivy. So every
it's a branch and there are 3 leaves at the end of it. If you see that, do not touch it.
I get it now. All right. Like I've never really had too much of an experience with poison ivy. I've seen other people deal with it, but I've never been able to actually identify the plant. So now I'm sitting there going like, "Hey, okay." I'm now retracing back camping trips and whatnot, going like, Oh, I was close a lot. A lot.
Thankfully, my dad was always just like, "You're gonna learn this because I'm also not gonna warn you when you step into it, so you will learn your lesson." I was like, "God damn it!"
Yep. See, I was more the person, like, when we would go camping and whatnot, I was the one that actually had, like, a decent nose and a decent set of ears. So when something would actually get too close to us, I'd be like, "And we need to stop right now," and whatnot. And it's like, we're all from California, so we don't have guns, and we don't know what to do about this. But
A little bit of child knowledge there.
apparently, my child didn't like my story. So that's a thing.
Time for you to shut up.
That's seriously what I took that as.
Your son walks in, he's like, "You need to stop."
It's like, enough of you.
I mean, you'll get used to it once they hit like their teens and you've told them all of your stories. They'll just be like, "Dad, shut up."
I've heard this one before.
They're already doing that. All right, where, you know, like
He's got 3 stories. It's just
every
the
now
same
and then,
ones.
like their teachers will sit there and be like, "Okay, bring your father over to class," and da da da, and I'll just be sitting there like, "Okay, I'm not gonna go and do that."
See, Ethan, I'm gonna have to call you out on the 3 stories thing, because like Stefan is the worst person to play Never Have I Ever with.
Yeah, no,
because
he's ridiculous.
Because I can just be like, "Never have I ever delivered a pizza to an amusement park driving a hearse," and he'll be like, "I've done that."
I was all up on part A.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
But here's the thing. I know that would be a fun game because I have stuff that he's never done before.
You would just have to make it things that no Californian has in the ability.
I know. That's the great part.
If it's outside in nature, it doesn't exist in California.
I've killed a snapping turtle with a toothpick.
I mean, you haven't.
I have, actually. It was the only way I could get to its brain, man. They've got hard skulls.
Nope. Haven't. I did it with the truck. It was an accident. So
I've got some that you would not be able to beat, nor half of the group, to be honest.
I've got some that you couldn't be able to beat.
I've done things, okay? I've done things.
There's so many that I want to say right now that I'm just sitting there like, ooh. Tiff doesn't know about that one yet.
Story time.
yeah. Babe, story time. So, yeah, well, like, we are in a pretty damn good mood after a little bit of gaming today and whatnot. But
my face hurts from all the smiles.
Oh,
I'm not used to this.
We're gonna keep it going.
I'm gonna go home and just be like, it won't go down.
I'll make them cheeks hurt, son. You ain't gonna be right for days.
I don't like this. I don't like this.
So yeah, like I said, we done played games, but while we haven't done an episode in basically almost like 2 weeks and whatnot, the entire world has decided to melt around itself and whatnot. And we have not talked about Corona one time. So I
That's
figured
because it's a terrible beer. Oh wait, you mean the
shut
virus?
your mouth!
You like Corona?
I'm from California.
Oh my, that doesn't mean shit. You apparently don't have taste buds in California.
I'm from California. We like Corona, and Tecate is a little bit like, hey. All right, Modelo's for rich people.
I joke, of course. I just don't like flavored beer. Give me a good Mike's Hard Lemonade.
See,
I just don't like beer. Get me hard shit, please. I can deal with the Mike's, but man,
Look,
beers are just.
here's
shit.
what I will say: never had a Taco Boy. All right.
I had plenty of Taco Bell.
He's
thank you
never
very
had
much.
he's never had a spicy taco.
No, to be fair, when I first moved out here, I lived next to like a family that was second generation from Mexico. I had some damn good Mexican food. They literally every single Friday they'd have a party, and there was no, oh, you're invited over. No, it was you were coming to the party.
How about this?
What, was this one of the ones where every like Sunday the grandma goes out selling tamales?
No.
See, no.
But the
no.
grandfather didn't speak any English whatsoever.
But there's a difference between grandpa not speaking English and grandma not speaking English. All right, because grandma,
That's fair.
she'll sit there and be like, "Oh, moron, we love you. You're amazing," and whatnot. Grandpa's just like, "I don't like you," and whatnot. Because I'm telling you, the amount of abuelas that I have and whatnot that are just like, "You're precious," and whatnot. Like, you would have to learn Spanish in my neighborhood just so that was like, y'all are talking about me and I know it. All right, I know what negro means. All right, you're not saying it the way white people say it.
See, it was nice because I was just really good friends with the kids, so I never had any problems with that. Like, I went to a school when I first came out here, and it was culture shock because I came from a state. There's only white people. Only white people can stand the cold like we can. But coming here, I went to a school where I was the only white kid, the only one, and all the
Where
kids
the
would
fuck
just be
did you
talking.
go to school?
Rose Park.
Okay.
That
explains it.
There you go. No, I went to elementary school there, and I got picked on so much, and I didn't even know it. I was like, I have no idea what they're saying. They could be talking nice things. They could be no, but as soon as I became friends with them, they stuck up, and they're like, dude, they're talking shit to you right now. I'm like, oh fuck, I would have liked to know that a while ago.
Dude, that's the thing where it's like you have to start learning little bits of the language of whatever is around you. Okay, and it's not even so much that you can tell if people are going and talking mess on you.
Yeah.
It's more along the lines of like, hey, I'm gonna try not to inadvertently offend anybody. So like, I have a bad habit of when most people hear me order Mexican food, they'll wonder why like I say some things with an accent. And I'll tell everyone it's because I grew up in California. So when I sit there and I'm like, oh, I would like a taco. They're like, why can't you just say taco? I'm like, I don't know. I know they know what I mean. And they'll look at me and be like, you're from California. Okay, we get it. Same reason why I'll roll the R's on burrito and whatnot. It's like, it's an American word for the most part and whatnot. But it's just like, okay, there's that. So I would tell people like, look, I just learned all that just so that way I wouldn't offend anyone. And then you kind of had to.
See, I'm just from New England where we don't care about offending anyone. It's just, that's a fucking taco. That is a burrito. There is no fucking difference. You can call it what you want. That's fine. But I'm calling that a taco and a fucking burrito. But when it comes to French, I'm careful with French. My grandmother and my great-grandmother and my great-great-grandmother were all alive while I was alive. And all spoke French. And from above my grandmother, they only spoke French.
Yo.
If I did not pronounce that right, they weren't Canadian French, they were French French. If you didn't say that accent right, it was a beating every time. Because my great-great-grandmother couldn't hit me, but she'd just look at my grandmother, and my grandmother would be like, okay, whooping time.
It's like, I can't do it. You get him. Get him. You still have the wrist.
My great-great-grandmother would just like look dirty at me, and my grandmother would be like, you're so stupid every time.
Just passes the cane to your grandma.
Yeah. I didn't talk much around them.
Yeah, your grandparents and great-grandparents sound a lot like mine, which was just like, we're too old to really care about hitting you, so we're just going to look at our descendants and go like, you hurt the little one.
Well, it was like,
you brought that thing into the world.
well, it's ridiculous because all my family members, except for my grandmother, has lived to be over 90. My great-grandfather was 107, walked 3 miles every day, and didn't take a single pill when he died. And it was just, he just didn't wake up one morning. That was it. No sickness, no nothing. My family lives to be old.
I am wondering if it is something with just, if you are it's like, if you're either a different race or you're just, like, you're second or barely like third generation from some other country and whatnot, not just, hey, my family's been here since the Mayflower and whatnot, because like even my family, my youngest living great grandparent died at 102. Everyone keeps on like 109 and you're just like, why don't you die? I'm sitting there looking at it like okay, it's kind of morose, like, but all of my grandparents are now dead and whatnot, but it's still one of those where like I look at how far they got and I'm just like, no, No.
Just I know.
No.
Please, Lord, let me leave before then.
It's like me and my father are always like, I don't want to live past 50. I don't want it. I don't want to be to the point where I'm still alive and my body's breaking down. And then we both look at our family and we're like, my grandfather just died at like 103. We're like, really? Come on. Just stop with this like ridiculous aging in my family. They just don't die.
Yeah.
No one dies.
Like, granted, my grandmother on my mom's side, who we didn't get along, I called her Yoda to her face. Okay, she didn't know who the character was at all. She was like, I'm Yoda. I'm like, yes, you are. Okay, but like the one civil conversation I can remember us having, I was like, what does your life feel like? She's like, everything hurts. Everything hurts. Don't get as old as I am. And I'm like, that's the best advice you've ever given me.
It's true. Honestly, like if this could be like Ghost in the Shell bullshit, and I could just upload my consciousness into like a computer and then just go from body to body and avoid all of the back pain from being 30, I would.
I wouldn't
That's
even,
why I want to go into prosthetics.
like, I wouldn't even want to go from body to body if I could just be a sole entity in the internet. I'd be good. Be like, I never want a body ever again and whatnot. Just put me in the internet and Wreck-It Ralph me. All right,
Just upload me.
I want to be cyborg, basically. I just want to be like interchangeable parts. I'm like, oh, cool, I want a rocket arm. Put it on, call it good.
You go right ahead, because there's still the perspective of like at some point stuff is going to break down. It might not hurt, but stuff is going to break down. If I'm just an electronic code in the internet, damn you all. I just got to look out for viruses.
You think the coronavirus is bad? This stuff wants to kill you.
Yeah.
It all comes full circle.
Just go over to Pornhub. They're rock solid.
Did you hear that they're giving Italy free access?
Dude,
Look, no, they're giving them free like premium membership.
Yeah, no, they're giving them free like premium pro whatever.
And to be fair, what the hell else are they gonna do with their time? Everything is
sports,
closed.
No leaving your house. Like, that's just basically you're sitting there with your hand in your lap all day. You might as well do something.
Dude, legit, I was talking to someone last night during one of the Uber excursions. Okay, and we were literally talking about, presidents and, prime ministers and things like that. And I had actually brought up, like, why don't we just instill Pornhub to be our president? Because I'm telling you right now, they are the first to do everything for anybody. People get stuck on a cruise ship. They're like, free porn. Just for you guys. Yep. And it's like, they're always right there. Be like, look, this is what we got. Here you go. So I'm just sitting there like, 2024 Pornhub.
Okay, but no, seriously, like you're kind of right on that. Like
you're writing candidates just Pornhub premium.
No, like they did their plant a tree campaign. Like for every video, they plant a fucking tree. They did their panda porn campaign. Like you upload porn of you in a panda suit so pandas can procreate. Like it is a thing.
Everyone write in Pornhub Premium, please. And by a landslide, Pornhub Premium wins.
2024 primary people just go like, okay, and Pornhub, what is your stand? Just beat it all.
Just suck it. Everyone suck it.
He, she, they, ze, oil. Suck it. Suck it's for everybody. Oh, God.
Public masturbation is now legal.
It's legal. Oh, no.
I don't know if I wanted to go quite that far.
Hey, you can watch Pornhub from your work. You're all good now.
There's some other implications out there. Look, there's gonna be a lot of ass whoopings around school.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a whole lot of dads going to prison. Just going like, what happened to you? All right, some dude was a little bit over inside his car, steamed up a little bit too much. I kicked his ass. What y'all want, Bubba? Oh. Yeah. Okay. Now, as you know, as the world is descending over into madness and whatnot,
I need my toilet paper.
The toilet paper has been a sight to behold, even as far as, like, when it started going, like, everyone started going for toilet paper and whatnot, I literally sat back and was just like, all right, here we go. You know, because I remember what it was like during H1N1 and bird and swine flu. Bird and swine flu back over in California, where everyone basically did the exact same thing, sans
which
toilet
were
paper.
Nothing in comparison.
Yeah, you know, so they're not anything over in comparison. But I was already kind of ready for that. But when the TP started happening, I just looked over at Utah and went like, y'all are messed up. It was a relief to figure out it was going countrywide.
A relief.
Okay.
Because the relief is like, okay, it's not just a Utah thing.
No. I mean a relief.
Yo.
No, the relief is the Pornhub thing.
See, like, I knew this was coming. I saw it coming. I was like, people are going to panic. It doesn't matter how bad it is. As soon as it hits the U.S., in any kind of way, shape, or form, people are going to panic, and they're going to swarm towards these stores. And there's no way they're going to be able to keep up with it. There's no way right from the beginning. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go prepare now. So a month ago, I got everything I needed. Yeah. And now I'm laughing at all the people who laughed at me. I'm like, well, at least I have toilet paper in my house.
Well, see, like, and honestly, if someone does the level of shopping that is normal, or at least what I consider normal, which is you kind of shop for 2 weeks. You shop every week, but you shop for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, so that way, by the end of that week, you're not out of everything. You still have stuff to be able to last you for a whole nother week, but you go and you get another week's or another 2 weeks worth of everything that you need.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like we never had to worry about getting toilet paper or anything, stuff like that. But for us, we looked over at the different aisles other than TP. So like baby wipes and diapers, you know, and seeing how those started going. It was ridiculous just seeing people like throw in all kinds of stuff, even to the point where like halfway or partway through this week, my neighbor who's got a couple of kids came up to me and was like, do you guys have any baby wipes?
Yep.
And I was just like, do you guys need a pack or do you just need a couple? Like, we just need a couple to get us. It's like we got a couple packs. We go to Costco, you know, every like 2 months.
It's ridiculous. You can't even like go on Amazon and get it now because it's completely unavailable everywhere.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad when things like toilet paper are that hard to get.
Yeah, and see, and there are times when I can look at it and be like, okay, people want to go and stock up on water. Sure, it's the wrong kind of disaster to stock up on water, but I get it. You know, my thing is I'm just sitting there going like, the only one that I was not surprised that was going out and I didn't want to complain about was stuff like the Purell and, you know, and all that stuff. It's still it's still
stupid,
ill-gotten,
and
it's misinformed, but at least that one makes more sense.
The big thing that I feel like people really should be stocking up on, which would be the smarter decision, is meats, which potentially are going to have issues when people who are working farms have to get quarantined, and, you know, not canned products.
Oh, meats.
Canned food, you'll be fine. Frozen stuff, you'll be fine, because all of that's in warehouses stored up for time. But your fresh meats, those are going to be hard. So it'd be good to grab those now and then freeze those.
So that is kind of being done. Like when I went to the store, it was mostly chicken. Like all the chicken was sold out. You know,
because chicken's cheap.
They were low on like ground beef and stuff, but like chicken gone. Like I had to have seen 3 people you know, with carts full of nothing but yogurt. And it's like, doesn't yogurt go bad in 3 weeks? What are you going to do in quarantine trying to live off of a yogurt that's expired a week ago?
Yeah. You know,
it's like, if anything, grab like a hard cheese and just cut the mold off once it starts to get molded.
And see, and that was what we did basically right when everything started to kind of take off. We went and got a 20-pound bag of potatoes.
Yep.
And we went and got the 60 thing of eggs.
Yep.
And whatnot. Both of those are literally like $4 each.
Yep.
Now,
And
if you
eggs.
go for them,
So
eggs
expensive.
are about $7 for this, for
and
the 60
that's
pack.
the crazy thing is now they can get away with raising the prices because it's not I forget what it's called, but you can't raise prices of products due to a disaster, and this is considered now that it's a pandemic, but they can raise it based off of amount of supplies.
Yeah.
So they can't raise water prices because there's a disaster, but they can raise water prices because there's less products because of the
Exactly.
disaster.
Well, see,
and it's people feeding this now.
That was one of the things that I've actually had a couple of conversations with people as far as like the actual wording that the CDC used, where it's like they called it a pandemic. Realize there's a difference between pandemic and epidemic.
Yep.
Epidemic is literally scientifically based, widespread. This is something 100% we all need to be worried about. It will consume the entire planet.
Yep.
Pandemic is a global disaster that is more affected over on people's minds, which is pandemonia, panic. So it's like this is people that are eliciting more of the response. Like, yes, this is a horrible, infection and virus that's going around, but people are actually causing more issues than the actual virus actually is.
And I think it's funny because a pandemic is supposed to be called after it hits, I think it's like 4,000 people globally. After 4,000 people worth of, I think it's deaths, it's supposed to be counted. And after a certain amount of infections, either or. And we passed that weeks ago. And WHO was so careful because they have what are called their pandemic
the
bonds.
World Health Organization.
Yeah.
Yes.
World Health Organization. They're called like pandemic bonds. So if they ever use the word pandemic, they have to pay out a substantial amount of money to all these people. So for weeks they have been holding off using the word. They're like, we're getting to the point where this might be a pandemic, but they never called it that.
Yeah.
And then finally we're already over 1,000. They're like, yep, that's what it is.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So,
But now that I'm so happy they finally did it because if they use certain other wording behind it, they also have to use like if they start advertising as other stuff as well, they also have to go towards putting out those bonds and everything. Now that they've put out those bonds, they're reporting a lot better too. Not only are they informing people better, they're putting out more information, and they're actually showing all the work they've been doing because they've been doing amazing work, just not saying it.
Exactly. Well, see, and that's one of the things where was it like yesterday as we record this or 2 days ago, there was a video of, I believe it was a senator going and basically grilling the head of the CDC and whatnot, making sure that they would offer free testing, which is something where it's like it is good to go and do that, but there are reasons why you don't just give out completely free testing and whatnot. Mainly just, especially if it's choice based.
If you have symptoms, that's the point at which to stop the spread of this disease, there needs to be an easy way, a non-deterrable way to get people to get tested. But if you look at South Korea and the UK, are very good examples of this. South Korea is testing 10,000 people a day.
Yep.
The UK now is testing 10,000 people a day. A small country like UK.
Whereas the US has barely tested 10,000 people, period.
So it is March 14th as we're recording this. When I checked the numbers yesterday, they have done, I think, just over 12,500 something.
Yeah. Well, and even knowing that the only reason why a lot of the changes have started happening as far as like sports and gatherings and things like that was based off of our basketball team.
Yep.
And, having a couple of cases where that was something where they immediately funded that and got all 20 players tested when technically there were only 100 tests even given to like the state of Iowa.
So Utah gets 50 tests a day, unless they've started trying to ramp up the numbers, but it's been 50 tests a day. Each person has to do 2 tests. Because they need to make sure there's no false positives or false negatives.
Yeah.
It has to both be the same answer for it to be a conclusive test. So 25 people they can test a day. Unfortunately, that also includes all the people they have to force the test on for people like at the BYU game, the Jazz game that just happened, and any other contact situations that have happened.
Yeah.
over the last 2 weeks of this being an issue, it's more than 25 people.
Oh yeah.
So they haven't been able to really test anybody publicly who's been having these issues. So people who are having all these issues, they're forcing other tests on first. They're making you do the flu tests for the last 2 years, I believe. They're making you do HIV tests because this has HIV symptoms in it and can kind of look like it. And then a bunch of other tests as well. That's why it can cost you almost $8,000 before you actually get the coronavirus test.
Well, see, and that's one of the reasons why there, as you were kind of saying, different jobs are going to have to go and get tested. Where there hasn't necessarily been grumblings as far as, like, I still do Uber. There have been a couple of drivers that have said, like, hey, if we keep on doing this, odds are we're going to be forced to go and get tested. So that way, as more developments continue to unfold, they're going to basically go like, okay, now our protocol is do this, and then, you know, these sort of things we have to go and have with these guidelines. So I'm already looking at that as far as like, okay, odds are every now and then, like, because you could already see places like the entire our shipping and freight infrastructure. That's gotta go through testing, so that way, because we can't have that infrastructure break down.
Funny enough, UPS, FedEx, and a lot of other shipping companies are doing that. USPS is not. So the government mailing agency is not doing that. They're supplying some masks. They're not supplying gloves. They're not supplying any tests. They're barely supplying any knowledge on it. And these people are coming into contact with all of, like, you think of all these big movie stars that they're like, oh, get them a test right away. Get them a test. Get them a test. What about the people who touch millions of people's mail every day? On something that could live on a surface for 2 days.
So you mentioned gloves. And Brandon in the Discord was saying people are using condoms.
Yeah.
That's
right. So what's wrong with people? So I'm a little curious, and I have to make this joke. When they do this, do they put the whole condom down their arm? Do they put it over individual fingers?
someone who's doing this, please answer.
Also, when they do, are they opening a new condom every time? Like, do you go to the store, buy stuff, be like, oh, let me use my condom to, you know?
No, I'm sorry. Does it also go based off of job as far as like, look, I have to be able to go and pick something up, so I need the ribbed. All right, I think like I need to still be able to pick something up, so those ridges they're gonna help.
You gotta get those ribbed for her pleasure fingers.
You're like, I've got delicate work, ultra thin.
You're doing like heavy duty work all day. Your muscles get sore. Fire and ice. You work out on the daily. Magnum.
God. It's like now you just sit there knowing that they've all got spermicidal lube. How many people are going to sit there and be like, see, it's killing bacteria. It's like, well, I guess. No, I mean, like if you want to jerk off into it, you know.
It makes you feel better. So bad.
So, yeah, and we're not necessarily trying to go and make light of anyone that actually is dealing with this and whatnot. It's just people are idiots right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's understandable to take precautions and be safe and everything, but there are also kind of extremes to some stuff and ridiculous ones, like people who are doing things that just aren't doing you anything whatsoever, like people who are buying all the masks up everywhere. Dust masks aren't gonna help you with this. Nope. You need N95 medically rated masks, which are super expensive already and hard to find.
Well, it's not even just that. The N95 masks aren't even rated to keep you from getting infected. They're rated to keep you from getting other people. Basically, it holds all of the bacteria into you. It doesn't.
Well, they do have. They're the only ones that are sealed on your face and do have filtration of some sort. That's the like bare bones level. Is what I'm saying. After that, anything below that, people are getting like surgical masks and using those. I'm like, those don't do anything. You're still spreading it and you're still catching it. Like it's not doing you anything.
It's It's not, and you sit there and look like, okay, if that's what you need to do to be able to calm your hysteria, it's like, I would love to sit there and be like, okay, fine, so be it. But then again, I look at everyone going like, look, as much as I would love to tell you, yeah, okay, fine, that calms your hysteria, but it's like, hey, you don't need it. Other people actually need it, and now they don't have access to it.
Yep.
So now you're just creating a problem because now you are allowing more to spread rather than, it's like, well, there's a difference between preventative as far as I don't want to get it and then I don't want to give it.
Yeah. Well, it comes down to the point where people are misinformed and they're actually doing more harm than they are, because at that point they're like, oh, I'm safe to go out, I'm fine. At that point you're more likely to catch it, and then you're more likely to spread it because you're doing something that you thought was right, but it's really not, and people aren't doing anything to help get that information out. Like people who are still using Lysol and Clorox and think that that's actually going to clean and disinfect. It does not do anything. And both Lysol and Clorox have very well advertised this.
And guys, don't gargle Clorox as a way to prevent the virus.
Also, don't do what a lot of people have been misinformed in the Middle East, and this is super fucking tragic. Alcohol does not help you. Do not drink. It will not help you stay fucking cured.
Don't be plastered off your ass 24/7.
No, I have a really good buddy of mine who's from the Middle East, and he's been like, him and his mom are saying like, drink a lot, it helps you. I'm like, no, that's not real. Don't actually take that in. That's not real information.
Right.
But it's like, oh man, some of the stuff, it's sad because it's just going to create more problems than it is good.
Well, so, and you know, we're talking about this, and this, what I'm about to say is meant as, you know, a joke to make people laugh, but this also shows you the level of idiocy that some people are dealing with. So last night when I was also dropping people off for Uber and whatnot, some people, like a couple of idiot kids, they're 19, 20, whatever. They get inside the car and they're kind of talking back and forth. And of course, they, you know, when they finally do engage, we're like, what do you think about the coronavirus and da. So we're sitting there chatting back and forth. And then they start going on about what they're doing to prevent it. Well, one of the guys goes over like, okay, well, I thought this ingenious way. You know how fire kills basically all germs and things? And I sit there and go like, yeah?
What are you
doing?
You're gonna light yourself on fire there, bro?
I wish I was joking about this. His real way that he was going to help like sanitize his hands and arms was literally dipping his hands over into lighter fluid, lighting them on fire, and then putting them out.
Oh god.
You know what was really funny? It actually goes along with this whole fire thing. It was ingenious. This guy put a little metal pipe over a lighter so he could press buttons and press things, and then he just flicks the lighter and it kills whatever's on it. He just holds it there for a couple of seconds and then it's dead. Because it does kill almost everything, but this thing over 98 degrees Fahrenheit does die. It has been confirmed.
Well, see, and that's what one thing that you said over inside there is the key to all this. A couple of seconds.
Yeah.
It has to be a sustained burn.
Yeah.
A flash burn does nothing.
Yep.
Because a flash burn, unless it's like 180 degrees, okay, yeah, it'll cook it hard. A flash flame, as far as just a 100 degree Bic lighter, ain't gonna do much. No. All right. So when people are sitting there like, I'm gonna light myself on fire, I'm like, okay, so when the blisters have cooled.
so now that you have a 3rd degree burn.
Yeah. No, see, you just gotta do it the safe way, and you're mixing products. Use Purell and then light yourself on fire. Because you won't get burned, and you'll be using Purell.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
See,
now we've got the key.
We've got the key. Here we go. Don't do this. These are the same people that tell you to go and put butter off of a 3rd degree burn. Don't do that.
Some people.
Yeah, and I sit there and go like, look, guys, if you were to like, the amount of times I've now had to have the conversation with multiple people, like, have you actually gone on to worldhealth.org or the CDC website? Have you actually gone onto those websites and looked at preventative measures and whatnot? Not Facebook.
Yep.
Not the LA Times. Have you gone on to those? Because whether you want to believe fake news or not, It is literally those organizations' sole mission to deliver you the correct information, regardless of whoever is in whatever political faction that's going on. It's their job to be able to go and do that. So they're going to give you the scientific reasons of like, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. They're not going to specifically say, don't do this. They're just going to tell you, no, these are the things that work.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I thought it was funny because I was on Discord the other day talking to some people, and we were just chatting about it, and we're like, dude, this is like, I hope you're getting your stuff now, like, just start getting ready and try to see if you can work from home and all that stuff. And then some guy jumps on, he's like, oh, it's not that bad, and we're like, dude, you know how dangerous this is, right? And he's like, no, it's not an issue at all. And we got talking, and he said how coughing wasn't dangerous. It's like, you do know that breathing around someone who has this is dangerous, right? This infects 80% of your lungs, just about. Like, when you breathe, you exhale the disease, not just coughing. And he's like, no, that's not true. That's not real. And I pulled up the CDC and the WHO's websites, both showing the medical documentation saying that this does happen. It's an airborne virus, and you don't have to cough to have it be an issue. And he's like, oh, that's not real. They're just lying. I'm like, are you stupid?
Well, see, and that's the thing where it's like, well, then who are you willing to believe then?
Yeah.
Because
it's like, does Facebook have to post it for you finally understand this?
See, and that's where I hate that everyone has this selective factual based learning now, where it's like, okay, well, now it's no longer about what scientists say. It's, oh, who am I going to listen to that makes sense to my brain?
Yeah.
It's like, facts are facts. Like, if you want to have moral discussions or philosophical discussions, cool, that's open to interpretation. Science, even though science can be fallible, it's still always on the realm of like, no, we are taking A plus B and equaling C.
Yep.
It's not A plus B and then equaling 45 and whatnot. It's like, no, it's trying to take whatever information that you are presented with and moving on from there through actual experimentation.
And has to be verified by at least 2 other people. It's not like it's just something they're like, oh yeah, we tested it and it was true. Yeah. They're like, oh, a group tested this and they all came up with the same answer.
Yeah, check peer reviews.
Yeah.
Well, it's like,
I thought it was funny because it was like, I was going over all this, and I actually had another buddy of mine who was asking about it. They're like, I don't know, I feel like they've been overrating this in the news. I'm like, the news hasn't been telling anybody this. They don't want to start a mass panic. And they're right to do so, but they're also not being proactive in trying to warn people. Like, you can look at Italy, and they're a great example for everybody to learn from this. Italy, how in one day they had a huge explosion. Literally, I think it was who literally called it a bomb because of how big of an issue it was. Because it was explosions of people getting infected, these mass amount of people getting infected. And hospitals just can't deal with it. Now, most people will not die from this. Generally, if you're over 60, you're at risk. Over 80, you're at a higher risk. But you can still survive it.
Or have like lung
pre-existing
issues,
conditions.
Yeah.
Well, so it's pre-existing lung condition, diabetes, and a previous history of cancer that has ruined your immune system.
Yeah. So immunodeficiencies can also be a pretty big issue. And that's why I'm like hoping not to get it right now. But it's like, if you look at Italy, they had the potential to be able to handle anybody who came in with the issue and deal with it as long as it was a slow, steady curve. Because if you look at curves, based off of each other, they can only handle so many people at a hospital at a time. China had the issue where they had a huge spike, and over a certain threshold, they had to turn people away. And they usually turned away the worst cases because they knew they were not recoverable, and it was better to put manpower into other people. Italy's now getting to the point where doctors are like, we have to call some people and just be like, we can't help you.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to learn from that and just basically be like, you're going to get it. There's a big chance that you're going to get it. The infection rate is huge, but it's treatable. You're probably not going to die, but if we want people to, like a lesser amount of people to die, the best way to do this is for you to get it later. because if you have less people going into hospitals, it's easier to treat.
Well, not just that as well, but realize that a level of psychosis goes into your immune system as well.
Yeah,
where it's like
it's
the
very
more
true.
that people do stress over things and cause themselves to panic, realize that your body and your immune system will act in kind. So stressing out does not ramp up and give your body like immunosteroids. It literally makes it go into overdrive, and when that backs down, your body goes into a state of cooling down.
Yeah.
As it were. So it's something where it's like the more people panic and whatnot, the worse they're going to be, because then it as you were saying, odds are the entire world is now going to have to go and deal with this.
Yep.
Same thing how and one of the distinctions that I've gone and I've told people is that coronavirus is a new word for most people, but this is not the first coronavirus that has gone on. We've had 4 other coronaviruses in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
This one is just an ultra serious case that warrants discussion.
Yeah, it's like coronavirus is just like the flu. The flu is just a name for a specific type of virus. The coronavirus is just the name for the outer shell of the virus. That's all it is. It's like the cold is a flu technically, like the common cold, because of the structure, has that weird crystalline structure if you've ever seen it. The most common type of virus. Coronavirus is a ball with a lot of different spikes around it. That's also the issue because it's highly infectious, because it has many points of infection.
Yeah, it's
that's
like
one of the big risks
it has multiple vector points to it. So that's been something where, as I've had the conversation with people, it's like odds are the entire planet is going to go and deal with it. There are way more people that have it right now than they know have it and whatnot. Odds are everyone that has had the sniffles or body aches or things like that.
Dry coughs and body aches.
Yeah,
Those
it's
are the
like
big
dry
ones.
coughs, body aches. Even there have been people that have elicited very to little symptoms at all.
Yep.
And then are testing positive. And it's like, oh yeah, your body is dealing with it.
Yeah,
so odds are
you can be a carrier without actually
That's actually
having
what their
symptoms.
That's actually what their big fear is with kids. That kids, like, their immune systems are fighting it off really well, but they're really good carriers of it.
Yeah.
Because the kids are going to come home to their parents and spread it.
Yeah, and that's why like school's shutting down, and we're not gonna go into get into that. Like, I now have my children for the next 2 weeks at minimum. Okay, and I'm not looking forward to that. Okay, but it's its own thing. But that's where I sit there and go like okay, this is actually really morose, and I would encourage parents out over there, like, realize that yes, kids aren't necessarily dying from this and whatnot. At least we don't really have that many cases of kids reportedly dying from it. I would still recommend...
I think there's only been one case where someone's died under 30, and it was like later 20s.
Yeah. Well, see,
with pre-existing conditions. Yeah.
But like one of the things that I've actually like talked with my wife with, and we actually have sat down with our boys with, it's really jacked up, and I get that, and it's going to be kind of a bummer, but we actually are teaching our boys what happens if they wake up and mommy and daddy don't. It's unfortunate, but you realize that odds are in places like Italy, China, and whatnot, that probably has happened.
Yeah. It's the big risk, is that it has a long incubation period, and then when it does actually take action and starts spreading, it starts reproducing, it doesn't 2 to 3 days usually. It's like usually about 2 days to a week, and it depends on the person, the age, their immune system, all of this, and it is a bigger risk because of that. Because not only does it infect 80% of your lungs, it can also give you heart problems because of you can get swelling not only from the virus but from your lung swelling as well. And people who also have heart conditions are also at risk.
Yeah.
So people who are younger and have heart conditions, which are pretty common too, that's a bigger risk. People, like you said, who have diabetes, people who have lower immune systems, like, this is a somewhat common thing that people might not even know they have half the time.
Yep. Well, see, and like, and this is something where I'm actually glad that you're over on the podcast, specifically, you, Ethan, and whatnot, is because, like, the only reason why I've looked up as much as I had is because my mother, who's dealing with diabetes and whatnot, she's high risk for this, and she already has horrific respiratory problems. She's had a cough for like a severe cough for the last 8 years. That just does not go away. It's not like it just kind of sparks up during the winter. No, she's had a severe cough for the last 8 years. Okay, and it's something where her immune system has just gone, has gone tits up, and we've she's on dialysis. So yeah, we're keeping very close tabs on this, which elicits research. You having a little bit more of the mechanical biology perspective, going into the medical field with prosthetics and whatnot. Well, I knew that you were also looking.
Yeah, it's
multiple
not only
aspects.
It's not only that. Like when bigger things like this are starting to become at risk, I like to keep informed because you never know. And it's one of those things where you just can't take the news's like information on it, whether that be social media or real outlets and everything like that, because some things are biased, some things aren't going to have real information, but medical documentation you can trust. As long as it's been peer reviewed, that's the big important part, is peer reviewed, because there's a lot of medical documentation that isn't. But as long as it's been peer reviewed with the same results, you can trust it, and its results are true.
Yeah.
China was a big issue with this, and as soon as I saw that, and that it was a risk factor for people who had immunodeficiencies, I was immediately worried, because a lot of people don't know about the heart issue either. That's an issue because of the swelling that happens around your heart and from your lungs. I already have heart pains because of swelling at my heart.
Yep.
So now it's one of those things where, like, if I get it any more than I have it, I need to keep an eye on it. The immunodeficiency, I have that, so I need to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
And it's things like people who have thyroidism. That's not something you'd really think. It's a pretty common thing, and it's not something you'd think would be an issue. If you have an immune deficiency because of it, you have heart problems because of it. And then you also have weight problems, which doesn't help with your immune system. Because big thing with this is you need to be somewhat active too. You can't just be sitting around all day, which does not help with the quarantine.
Yeah.
But it's understandable why they do it. It's one of those things where it's just as simple as you need to stand up and move around, because with any issue, with any disease, it's good for you to get movement, because if your body's not functioning, then your immune system's not functioning.
Exactly. So it's one of the things that I didn't necessarily want to kind of bring things to a halt as far as like what we normally kind of talk about and we kind of mess around about, but it's like, not that I think that we have any perspective that's inherently different than any others, but it's like the people that do listen every now and then, like I've seen comments of some of the people over on Facebook and things like that, and I'm like, okay, if realizing that as a podcast and whatnot, if we have the ability to have any kind of ears, it's a repetition of the same message.
Yeah.
If people are constantly telling you wash your hands, Yep. Okay, if people
one of the biggest things with this is don't take anyone's single answer as an answer. You need to be proactive in this and look up information yourself.
Yeah.
And not only that, like if you're hearing it from multiple sources, there's a decent chance that it's true. You probably should look into it. But it's like, if someone's telling you that drink alcohol and you'll be fine, it's probably not true. You got to have some kind of like common knowledge or common sense in that.
Right. Well, even as far as like a resource that I've talked about every now and then, usually when I'm talking about pest control, but like, hey guys, realize that especially if you're in the U.S., you can go on to the county that you live in. They have breakdowns for legitimately everything that happens within your county. So your rainwater, your groundwater, any kind of tectonic shifting, poisoning and whatnot. They have to keep track of all of that. Guess what's also inside there? All of your health and your health and infection reports as well. So you can actually figure out, rather than waiting for Facebook or waiting for your local news to be able to cover it, the health organization within your county will find out first before every news coverage will. So you can find it literally hours before you see it on KTLA or wherever it is. You'll find it over on your county website, within hours of the state even.
So two of the best resources I've found, New York Times is building a database from the WHO and the CDC and government agencies and other medical centers for any new information, any kind of reporting for infections and everything. They have the most up-to-date numbers and the quickest numbers and the quickest information. The other source, just go to CDC, the WHO, or your local government agencies.
Yeah.
The best places. The WHO, I think it's WHO, has the... they're the ones that have one of the official trackers for everything, including documentation for everything, including maps that show you, areas to avoid, areas to be careful, and all this, and just stuff you just keep an eye on it yourself. You'll probably find information before you find it anywhere else.
Exactly. So, like I said, it's kind of a bummer to kind of get ready to go and end things in on, but again, I legitimately care about not only everyone that is on the team, but I care about everyone that listens, because odds are I've actually met you all, or at least talked to you, like more than half of you guys right now. I sit there and chat with you guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, and whatnot. So yeah, I want to make sure everyone is safe. And when I tell people like, hey, don't freak out, but also don't think that this is nothing.
Yeah.
Like
it's one of those big things where it's like ignorance is bliss, but ignorance can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Being informed is important.
Exactly. So, I will continue the same things as far as like, yes, wash your hands, stay informed, be very careful, be cautious. If you feel like, even if it's not the right symptoms, like last weekend, Tiff was throwing up. That was it. There was no coughing. There was no, there was no fever. There was nothing to it. She was literally just throwing up. And we kind of figured like, oh, well, there was a stomach bug going on at the exact same time. She probably got the stomach bug.
Yep.
Even so, I still just told everyone like, nah, just stay home. Don't worry about it.
Don't even bother.
Yeah. Let's not even worry about it. If things get worse, we'll reconvene next week, which is what we did today. Because I haven't had any sickness, and we've been able to go and keep everything clean. So it's like, cool. It's not to say that it wasn't it, but what I will say is like, no, we've continued to keep things clean, and we went and got ourselves checked and whatnot. Yep. So it was a whole thing. Yeah. So yeah, like guys, just stay safe, stay healthy,
stay clean,
stay clean. Like wash your hands, take showers. Realize that your hands are not the only place. Your hair. People touch your hair all the time.
Your face.
Don't
touch your face.
Yeah. Your bum. Look, you run out of toilet paper, you got a shower right next to you, all right? You can... Soap and water on your bum does better than TP, all right? So if we run out of TP, hit the shower.
Yep.
So speaking of shower, I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
I was talking to Candace about, and I'll tell you what it was, but I was telling her about something that I do, and she was like, "Oh, you do that? That's kind of cute."
Okay.
So this is where the shower thing comes in. So I was telling her about how, when you get out of the shower and you go to step out and you have your foot hanging in the air and you just give it a little kick to kick off all the excess water before you step out.
You're shaking your head like you do this.
Because I grab the towel and I wipe my foot before I step out. Because
Like,
I don't want to get water
am I the only
everywhere.
one that does this?
No, I used to do that before I did that.
Okay. Because,
So, to be fair.
Because I was talking to her about this because, I was doing that little kick thing and I accidentally kicked the faucet. Hurt my toe.
What kind of kick are you doing?
Well, it's the same idea of, when you get done at the sink, you just, flick the water
you
off your
flick
hands.
the water
so
off
you
your
don't
hands.
drip it everywhere. You've never done that.
What monsters are you guys?
You're telling me that you drip water all over the place. You are creating
he just
hazard.
lets the water just flow off his hands as he walks over to the towel.
You guys have seen my bathrooms. What is quite literally 8 inches from the faucet.
So you've never gone to a movie theater where the paper towels are a half a mile away and you just drip your hands the whole way over there?
It's water.
Oh my. So you creating a
then
fall
it creates
hazard.
a slipping hazard.
Exactly.
Thanks a lot, jackass.
When I fall and crack my head open, I'm suing you. I know it's you who did it.
If your hand shaking leaves enough water on the ground to make someone slip and crack open their head, you're washing your hands wrong. You're doing something wrong.
Are you not putting water on your hands? Because that might be an issue.
Obviously, it's no longer just about putting water on your hands. You're cupping stuff and going like, okay, I'm gonna take this water with me as I go.
I'm just gonna flick this across the room.
All right. No, I'm the kind of person where when I get out of the shower, I throw a towel down on the floor, and that towel is a floor towel now. All right. I get out, I step on that, I wipe off my legs with that towel. It immediately goes over to the washer or it goes over to the side because it is now a floor towel.
See, I just have my towel close by. I grab the towel and I dry off in the shower. Then you don't track water everywhere, and you also don't have a wet towel that you've wasted.
You're not
Boom,
wrong.
Solution.
But see, the only reason why, I can do that at the shower in the bathroom that I grew up with, because all of that, that tub, everything goes straight over the drain.
Yep.
The showers we have over here, it pools over inside the back. So even though the drain is there and it's letting water go, if you just sit there and try to wipe your legs off, especially your toes and whatnot, you now have a sopping wet towel.
That's why you put your leg up on the side, dry it, step out, and then do that with the other one.
No, that's what you do for your balls. You do the Captain Morgan. You get a foot up there, and then you have the towel.
Do the little squat and call it good.
I'm not gonna lie, I actually do squat a little bit, get that legs open. All right, that football center stance as far as sit, hup.
You over there, man spreading. No, see, I dated someone who was nuts, I swear to God, because they hung the towel over the shower curtain while they took a shower. And it'd be drenched in water.
Don't you just get half a soaking towel like that?
No, half the towel would be wet every time. And I'm like, you could just put it outside of the shower nearby and you could still dry off before you stepped out. And they're like, no, that's not good enough.
So then the big question is, when they draped it over the shower rod, did they do it lengthwise or do they do it widthwise?
No, they do it lengthwise. Demons. It's lengthwise.
Those demons.
No, it's hamburger, not hot dog.
Okay.
I lived with a group of people not from the U.S. that thought it was normal to have their towels outside of the bathroom. So taking a shower or doing anything after they took a shower, you were instantly ready for a flood on the ground. It was just one of those, and it was a constant time of fighting of why do you guys do this? Oh, it's not that bad, Stefan. I'm like, look, all right, you're European. And you think that I'm mystified by you and your accent and your body and all that. I'm not. I'm short, I'm black, and I'm pissed. All right? Wipe off the floor.
It's at least have the decency to throw your wet towel on the floor and wipe it up.
It went on for months, as far as I would just get out of the shower and literally I started making sounds, making it think like I actually fell inside there. I'd sit there ah! And I was like, Stefan, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Floor's wet though.
You started a flood in here, thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, it was an experience. I'll probably have to go into I know I've talked about the doggone God, where the hell were they from again? The Dutch people, the couple of people from Holland that I stayed with, but I'll have to go into full details every now and then. Anyway, we gotta end up. We're way over time now and whatnot. Thank you guys for joining us for episode What Knows God's What. Okay.
You got that Corolla virus. Driving your Toyota down the road, spreading the disease.
Rolling down the streets, coughing everywhere. There you go. So
it's the new form of crop dusting.
Dude, it's monster. So check out the Crack Brain website. Now we actually crud, I forgot to actually upload the Jackalope shirt. That should have been out this week. I will upload it this weekend.
Hard work.
Yeah, so that tank top should now be out. So definitely go and check that out. Remember, you guys can actually get a discount if you sign up for a membership, a 5% discount. through the Crack Brain store. And
So worth it.
yeah, like quite a few people, especially this last week, have actually done that. So thank you guys so much. Like that helps us a lot. So remember to go and do that. And then we actually have a few more ideas kind of brewing. So
Yeah. They're coming.
I keep on burping. It's becoming a problem.
You doing good over there?
Yeah, I'm trying. All right, so
Burping isn't a symptom of the coronavirus, so we're okay. We're safe.
a good meal and like, there we go. So thank you guys for joining this episode of the Crack Brain Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Stefan.
I'm Tyler.
And hi, I'm here. Also Ethan.
Yeah, and we will see you all next week.
Bye.
I don't know why we synced up when we did that. That was legit.